And hello, movie lovers. So tonight, I actually have a very special guest with me, and that's the Western Reviews podcast. And we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics tonight for our movie news segment. We actually have Quentin Tarantino cannot keep his mouth shut. I mean, Quentin Tarantino speaks against Marvel movies. Then we also have Indiana Jones 5, but the aging with Harrison Ford. We're also with the opening sequences, and then why Bob Iger's ultimate power move may be selling Disney to Apple, and then Henry Cavill's Superman future may not be so certain. So we have a lot to talk about, and I can't wait to dive into this episode. So let's go on ahead. Let's do this. And how are you doing, Western?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. Can't complain. It's always good to be able to have you on the show. And what better way than us talking about a controversial topic that we're going to get into like later on, right? Especially with
Indeed.
Tarantino. So if you guys are wondering when we're going to do that, that's going to be at the very last part of the segment about Quentin Tarantino. But let's go on ahead. We have a little bit of movie news coming out of the whole Disney murder thing. This might be happening, but it's speculation right now. The Rap is actually the ones that have reported it, so that's why it made it very interesting because the Rap is actually one of those news report websites that I actually trust aside from Deadline. Then, of course, you have the Latino Review. Then you also have ComingSoon.net and a bunch of other websites. But when I see the Rap, I'm like, okay, this is just not some blogger in his basement that lives with his mom. This is actually a legit website. So, therefore, I can say there's actually some truth in the context, but there's also speculation with this piece. So, there's a lot to get into whenever it comes down to this. So, this is why Bob Iger's ultimate power move may be selling Disney to Apple. Now that Disney CEO Bob Iger has regained the keys to the Magic Kingdom less than 3 years after his chosen successor, Bob Chapek, took over, insiders suspect they know how the beloved executive will find a new way to go out on top during his final 2 years. He's going to sell the company. One Disney insider who has worked for Iger predicted this is the principal deal that the ultimate deal maker. Landing a deal with Apple or some other mega buyer would also cement Iger's legacy. I think he'll welcome it. He'll be the CEO of Disney, a former top Disney executive, told the Rap, nodding that the two companies have similar brand identities and could benefit from a merger. Acquisitions are in Iger's DNA. Under Iger's leadership, Disney went on a nearly 100 billion shopping spree to buy animation giant Pixar in 2006, superhero juggernaut Marvel in 2000, and uh, basically back in 2011, I believe. Or am I wrong on that?
You could be right. I think that's when Disney started back in Marvel stuff around that period.
Okay, I found my spot. So animation giant Pixar in 2006, superhero juggernaut Marvel in 2009, Star Wars Power Lucasfilm in 2012. That's what I was thinking of. And Rupert Marsha does 20, of course, 20th Century Fox in 2019. But there was one acquisition that he publicly limited as a transformational deal that got away a combination with the tech powerhouse Apple. So in Iger's 2019 autobiography, The Ride of a Lifetime, the executives wrote chapters about his friendship with Steve Jobs. He and his wife, Willow Bay, were close friends with Steve and Lorna Powell Jobs, even spending holidays together. And fascinating in Hawaii. He even writes about standing in front of Steve Jobs' grave when the tech visionary's wife uttered, I asked him if he could trust you, and Steve said, I love that guy. Iger responds, the feeling was mutual. So, okay,
Okay.
so this is what I have to say about this, okay? Whenever I'm looking at the numbers here, okay, and the numbers is this. Walt Disney is worth $180.25 billion. Okay? So then you have Apple, who's a $2.36 trillion company.
More than Disney.
So my question is this: what would a $1 billion company like Disney want to do with Apple? I understand that to me it doesn't make sense because do they actually want the headache of going into the Carnival cruise ships? Are they going to install Apple software? If they are going to install Apple software in this ship, I'm sure they already have the Apple software that's inside the park. So therefore, there's no reason for Apple for them to even think about merging with Apple. They're not struggling. They're not a struggling company at all. Normally, you would do this with a merger if they're struggling, or if the other company is actually struggling themselves, and then you do a merger. That's the only way that you would actually do a merger that way. That's the way I'm looking at it economically. But also too, do they also want to get into the theme parks? Does Apple actually want to have the headaches of running theme parks?
Right.
Which I'm sure like I said, they actually have probably Apple software installed in the theme park. So statistically, it does not make sense for me to say, "Hey, look, this is something that I would want to get into." Then, of course, you also have Bob Iger. At that time, he was actually CEO and the board member at that time. I don't know if you knew that or not.
I did not.
He's actually one of the board members. Now he's just the CEO. He's not even part of the board members or anything like that. So therefore, that's been stripped away. So now it's actually up to the board members to decide if this is actually a good financial situation. So it's not up to Bob anymore or anything. It's up to the board members if they're going to do it or not. And also, too, you also have to look at it from the shareholder side of this whole entire thing, too. Like I said, this is surely just speculation right now. But what's your insight? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I have a theory about this whole thing, and it might be ridiculous, but maybe Disney's trying to introduce a brand new, I don't know, product. Maybe Mickey Mouse themed iPhones or something where the alarms or voicemails could be Mickey Mouse sound effects or him going, ho ho, I can't really do a good Mickey Mouse impersonation, as you can see. Right, yeah, there you go. Perhaps they want to do something, to integrate another big company. We've seen them with Fox and what they've been doing with them these past couple of years. So maybe with Apple, maybe they want to do something different. I don't know. It just doesn't really seem like a good idea to merge with them, though, especially when Apple has been doing much, much better financially than them. They have a lot more, things to offer, and plus, a lot of the things are a lot more expensive than Disney things to me, anyway. So I don't see how the merger would work.
It doesn't make sense, man. Like, okay, if I was a company with Disney, which I'm not, which I was, but what about selling individual properties over to Apple? That would make more sense. But I don't see them giving up Marvel because they just got everything underneath one umbrella, and Kevin Feige's working hard on that.
Yep.
You got Kathleen Kennedy, who might be finding her exit somewhere as well. So maybe they can do something with maybe sell something with Lucasfilm, maybe, and do it that way and break ties with the whole Star Wars thing. But even so, you're also making money off the Mandalorian too. So it's like, and then also too, you also have your own streaming app, and Disney's their own entity as well, and they're their own bosses. So why would they want to go ahead and merge with Apple? It just does not make sense. Even when I'm trying to find some type of resolution, some type of reasoning behind it, I just can't find any kind of reasoning.
Yeah, it's just like Apple trying to buy Manscaped. It doesn't make sense.
Which, by the way, they're also probably going to have the iOS software update for that soon.
Oh, just thinking. A thought.
Right? But I just don't, like I said, this is just something that doesn't make sense statistically or economically or anything like that when it comes down to a merger deal with Apple or anything like that. And like I said, it's not up to Bob Iger anymore. It's now up to up to the board members, the shareholders, and if it's actually beneficial to them. But what better way though? Okay, because don't forget, Bob Iger is the one who ended up buying these properties. So what better way to sign the dotted line with that CEO and try to make the deal? And could you just imagine the money that he would make off of that alone as well?
I don't know. I don't see this merger working.
I just don't. like I said, it doesn't make sense. To be honest with you, when Singular Wireless was bought out by AT&T, at least that actually made sense.
Right.
This does not make sense.
Mm-mm.
Even the 20th Century deal didn't even make sense to me in a sense, other than them getting their Marvel properties back.
Mm-hmm.
Stuff, and at that time, Disney owned 30% of Hulu, and now they own 60% of Hulu because of the
Whew.
fact
60%.
that Hulu owned 30, and then you also have Disney owned the other 30%. So now they have 60% of that.
Mm.
So, like I said, it's gonna be interesting as things come to find out. But I wouldn't be surprised if Kathleen Kennedy's actually moved out of Disney,
Mm.
out of Lucasfilm because of the mistakes that she's been making. Because there hasn't been any Star Wars films at all coming out.
Yeah.
All it is has just been TV shows. So that's just on that part alone that I wanted to mention about that. But I just don't see this as making sense from a business standpoint.
No, not at all. But we'll see how that goes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we got that. Now, which one do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Harrison Ford's The Aged, or do you want to talk about Henry Cavill's Superman?
We'll probably do Henry Cavill next because that's a perfect transition. We're going from Marvel and Disney to DC, two big comic book establishments. Let's
Okay,
make that transition.
and this report comes from Dark Horizons, which is actually another website that I follow.
Mm,
And they're actually really good with coming up with their details.
mm,
And basically, it said this: last month, DC fans got excited, myself included, over Henry Cavill's making a surprise appearance as Superman and Black Adam,
mm,
before revealing shortly after that he's ready to take on the role again for a Superman follow-up film. Between his comments and Dwayne Johnson's uh, will list out promoting Black Adam, Cavill's return seemed to be settled in stone. Cavill's abrupt exit from The Witcher was widely believed to be for the reason of freeing up his schedule to return for the Superman role, and that's what I reported a couple of weeks ago, and I actually did a report on it. It's on the YouTube channel. That's not the case, according to the Wrap. The outlet has been in touch with the numerous insiders and reports that a search was currently underway for a writer on a Man of Steel sequel aren't correct, or at least premature. That is. So then we also have. They say there is currently no writer or director attached to the project, and in fact, there's currently no formal deal with Cavill to return. In addition, at the moment, there is no forward money minimum on the project. A lot of this is due to newly installed DC studio bosses like James Gunn and Peter Safran being busy fine-tuning their long-range plan for the DCU, which will reportedly revealed in the next 2 months, which is also a 4-year plan that they actually have.
mm.
Cavill's future as Superman has been the subject of a speculation for years, with his appearance in Black Adam, his first glimpse in the role in 6 years. Though an alternate and warmly received version of a prior performance was released in 2021 with Zack Snyder's Justice League, reports have surfaced on fans' sites that Cavill will make an appearance as Superman in next year's The Flash film. And it actually makes sense for him to appear in The Flash because of the fact that you're dealing with like a master reset button when it comes down to that. But here's the thing: whenever I first read the report that he was going to be coming back, and then he wasn't going to return for The Witcher, that was my first thing. Was James Gunn probably got him on the call? Is, hey, look, go on. We're going to sign you on to play Superman,
Mm.
and Henry's like, oh, look, Netflix, look, I'm going to go on ahead and do Superman. It's been real. It's been fun. I love taking my shirt off. I love getting in that hot tub and everything in medieval times and everything. But, I had my run. I want to go on ahead and give it to the lesser known Hemsworth brother. And I'll go on ahead and do my, go on ahead and be Superman. But now, looking at the reports, it seems like now that there was this other rumor. I don't know if you knew about this or not, but
Mm.
he quit The Witcher because of the fact that he didn't like the fact that they weren't being attached to the books like they were supposed to be,
Mm.
and they were going further away from the books. And we all know Henry Cavill's a big, huge, sweaty nerd like us, and and basically he didn't like the direction that they were going in, so therefore he quit. So now I'm leaning more towards the fact that's why he quit versus the fact that he got a deal doing another Man of Steel movie. So that's what I'm leaning on now because of the story. Before I'm like, yeah, Henry Cavill's back. He quit because maybe because of the fact that James Gunn cut him up, called him up. Now I'm thinking to myself, no, that's not what happened, and that's a shame that he didn't like the direction of The Witcher, and now he doesn't have that long term money running in with The Witcher. But still, he's got other projects probably lined up. But what's your thoughts on it?
Yep. Yeah, I'm pretty much here with you on that one. I'm usually just casually kind of watching, DC and Marvel things, but it's not a big surprise that he's not really attached to anything Superman related just yet. I mean, a lot of these movies really take a long period of time to be made in the first place. So I wouldn't be surprised if, since you mentioned that he is a nerd just like all of us out there, you'll probably get an interview with Henry Cavill talking about the Highlander remake before the next Superman at this rate. But at the end of the day, I'm not saying that the option is out the table exactly, but I don't see it happening that soon. It's just probably at the moment just an exciting cameo at the end of the day. Nothing really, much to interpret other than just to be in a cameo. I know
I agree with you.
Work hard for that too, so yeah.
See, I agree with you on that because of the fact that James Gunn and Saffron both got their job positions about last month. So they're still trying to flesh out certain things as well. So they're trying to figure out where they're going to go do with the DCEU. If they're going to separate it, if they're going to kill the DCEU after the Flash, or what the deal is. And as a matter of fact, they even mentioned the fact that they want to have at least one Batman in their Batman franchise now. So let's play a little game here for a minute here, if that's the case, because I also want to talk about this too. Now, that means that Ben Affleck might be gone. That also might mean that, of course, with the great performance that we got this year alone with Pattinson, he could be gone. Then there's Michael Keaton. So, my guess is, okay, so your DC property of the Batman made bank. So do you go ahead and sacrifice your biggest franchise with Pattinson, who made box office bank? Or do you go ahead and just get rid of all of them and recreate your own Batman and have him in there with and have the same person playing Batman? Because that's also, too, what they're trying to lean on is making one actor play Batman for over a period of time instead of changing out the Batmans. Yeah. So, what do you think on that?
I think anything could be really possible at this rate. I just don't really see them getting rid of Pattinson this soon, especially when a lot of the Batman have been in more than one DC movie. So it'd be kind of weird to see one Batman actor just get one DC project and then just, all right, on to the next. Who we have next here? I think that'd be strange, but I don't know. Anything's possible.
I think that would be strange from that standpoint, but here's the thing, though. I think that James Gunn and Saffron are the two best people that you can choose when doing this, especially when James Gunn has been under the reins of Kevin Feige over at Marvel. He knows how to actually organize stuff and learn some stuff, probably from Kevin Feige, to say, okay, well, let me mark my check marks over here on this one, and then you have Saffron, who produced major franchises. I don't know if you know who he is or anything.
Not familiar with that name.
Okay, Saffron produced The Rocketeer. He's also produced the Conjuring movies as well.
Okay, cool.
So matter of fact, if you actually look at his IMDb, there's stuff that his accolades are stacked to the point where I'm like, okay, so now you're having two people okaying something, and you're also trying to figure out a 4-year deal, a 4-year plan, which is something that I think that DC needs, is a 4-year plan to restructure what the old regime did. But
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Michael Keaton does come back. I think he'd probably be a previous Batman most likely to return, and George Clooney would be least likely.
I hope no one brings Clooney back.
George Clooney would probably pay them to say no.
He'll be using his Batman credit card to come back.
I use credit card. The Bat card. Something.
And then here's Christian Bale. Why do you need that for?
Oh,
I am the knight.
right.
Yeah.
And Val Kilmer, I'll take drive-through.
Who invited that guy? Yeah. But you know,
I don't see them coming back. But
no.
We'll see.
But especially Val, though. Val's also another one that's definitely not coming back because of his throat cancer and stuff like that. So, but I wouldn't mind them sticking to one Batman instead of having multiple Batmans because it does get confusing and convoluted to the point where it's like, okay, so we have Robert Pattinson's Batman, but guess what? He's not part of the DCEU. We have Ben Affleck's Batman, but he's with the DCEU. And I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to do something like the comic books do. But basically, you have your Elseworld comics, which is non-canon, with the other stuff that's you can just pick up a comic book, which will be a Robert Pattinson one, and can actually enjoy it without any continuity within the other comics. So I understand what they were trying to do with that. Then you also have the Joker movie, which would make more sense probably to have Pattinson's Batman in that universe.
Right.
But still, that's a long stretch as well. So you have a lot going on here and a lot that they actually have to flesh out. But as far as Henry Cavill goes, I want to see him back as Superman, Man of Steel, because they need him in this because it's what the DC universe needs right now is Henry Cavill. And The Rock has been pushing for this for a while now. And as far as this is a rumor, don't quote me on this, but I heard a rumor that James Gunn and him are not getting along, and he does not like Shazam. And I'm not sure if this is him playing the character of Black Adam to where he does not like Shazam and using it in that kind of way.
And I heard the rumored reason was that Sinbad wasn't returning to reprise his role. These are rumors, people.
Right.
Rumors.
But like I said, a lot of speculation as far as that goes. And, it's hearsay. It's not 100% true. I don't know if it's true or not with The Rock not getting along with James Gunn or anything like that. But it's all about what makes sense for your universe and the universe that you want to create around it. And I think that everybody's been clamoring for another Man of Steel movie, myself included. I really enjoy the Man of Steel movie, even though some people don't like it. I can understand why people don't like it, but for me, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I think that you need Henry Cavill to relaunch this whole entire DC universe with him in the focal point at the forefront, and then you can focus on your Batman later on. Give him the character structure that he deserves and needs.
That sounds like a plan to me.
Okay, well, let's go ahead. Let's call him. Let's call Henry right now.
Yeah, do you want to do an interview for the next? When's Highlander coming out?
I'll just get Coleman to call him up and be like, "Hey, look."
Like, Coleman, look, we can get you to get an audition to play the Kurgan in Highlander. Or do you want to be a Superman villain? It's up to you. Just get us an interview with Henry Cavill.
Right? But okay, so let's go on ahead. Let's move into de-aging Harrison Ford.
Yes.
Okay, so as everybody knows, there's going to be another Indiana Jones movie coming out, and they are saying that they are de-aging Harrison Ford in a 5th Indiana Jones movie for the opening scene. So this tells me it's going to be kind of like that prequel within a sequel kind of deal like we had in the original Indiana Jones movies. And I'm okay with that in a sense. But let's dive more into the story itself from Dark Horizons. And more details are emerging about the 5th Indiana Jones film ahead of an expected trailer drop within the next few weeks. As part of the Empire magazine cover story this month, the outlet spoke with director James Mangold, who discussed the new film's opening sequence, saying he used the opportunity to do something quite special. And it has big shoes to fill, considering the previous 4 had some iconic screen moments, ranging from the Shanghai Poison and Diamond's fight in the Temple of Doom to a young Indy River Phoenix on one of his early adventures in The Last Crusade. Mangold says, I wanted a chance to dive into this kind of full-on George and Stephen old picture and give the audience an adrenaline blast. The result is set piece that jumps back 25 years earlier in the main narrative.
Okay.
From 1969 to 1944, around 6 years after The Last Crusade, the opening scene also involves a castle swarming with Nazis and Ford made young again by the aging technology. New ILM software used a ton of to achieve material of the young Ford and matched it to freshly shot footage and milled the two to result in high quality digital young Ford. Producer Kathleen Kennedy adds, we're dropping you into an adventure, something Indy is looking for, and instantly you have that feeling. I'm in Indiana Jones movie. Ford says he's impressed with the de-aging tech. This is the first time I've seen it where I believe it, and it's a little spooky. I don't think I even want to know how it works, but it works. Doesn't make me want to be young though. I'm glad to have earned my age. Bobby Wallerbridge, Mads Magazine. Okay, that's just this cast. Okay, so here's my thing on de-aging.
Go ahead.
You can de-age somebody all you want, and he may look fantastic as a young Indiana Jones, which is something that would be cool to see. Mm-hmm. But you cannot de-age body movement. Irishman, remember that? With Joe Pesci,
Robert De Niro, I was going to bring up another movie when you cut to me. I'm glad you didn't mention it, but there was another example that I will mention after you finish. That's very distracting, de-aging. But yeah, Irishman, I remember that.
Okay, let's see here. You can, like I said, you can go ahead and de-age someone all you want. I'd rather them do a deepfake because deepfaking is different from de-aging.
Yep.
Deepfaking is basically just putting their face on somebody else's body and using somebody else's voice. This is what we saw in The Mandalorian with Luke Skywalker. That's deepfaking. Deepfaking is different from de-aging. And with deepfake, and here's the thing, with de-aging, it took forever for Al Pacino to move out of his recliner. Then you also have that one awkward scene where Robert De Niro is over there running from the cops after kicking someone on the ground, and he's trying to run away.
Of course.
And when Al tries to get up from the recliner, you can definitely tell that he can't get up from the recliner. It's like he needs some help getting up from the recliner.
That's like them trying to de-age Michael Myers in the last Halloween movie when he's trying to get up. Make him move a little faster.
And that poor guy, he got his ass whipped by a spoiled teenager.
I mean, there's no de-aging for that one.
No, definitely not. But, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It's just that I hope they get like a stunt double for him.
Right.
To make it more believable and have his voice attached to the de-aging process, I think it would actually work better for the de-aging process. What about you?
Same thing on here. I'd have no major problem with de-aging in film as long as it's not too, distracting or is very obvious. Like the most recent movie example that I think I could use, which I'm glad you did not mention, was the sequel to Coming to America that came out, I think, last year. There was some sequences that they used that is very obvious that they de-aged Eddie Murphy and Arsenio Hall's faces to make them look like they did in the original movie, and it did not look good. Just overly distracting. They could have just deep faked and maybe had a stunt double or something. Just overly distracting. I hope it's not for this movie in this case, because it can work, but if it's too distracting, it's probably going to be an issue visually. At least.
Well, just to be clear, Coming to America 2 had more problems than de-aging.
Right. That was one thing, but it was a minor scene. But more than that.
But yeah, I'm fine with Harrison Ford. And I also like how here's the thing that I like about him, though. He actually admits to the fact that he doesn't want to go back in time to where he's young. and he likes the fact that he's actually older now, and he's okay with that. So most actors or actresses are not okay with it. You see them go through plastic surgery. You see them go through all this stuff.
Mhm.
So for an actor to say, you know what, I lived a good life. I played Han Solo, and I also played in Indiana Jones. I got to do everything that I wanted to do as an actor. I even got to play in a couple of little sci-fi movies here and there. I also got
A
to
lot
play
of
in
thriller movies. Yeah.
a lot of thriller movies. Got to play sideline with Brad Pitt. And so, and he was actually an upcoming actor at that time. But yeah, if you look at the filmography of Harrison Ford, and him saying, you know what, I lived a good life. I'm good at what I'm doing. So I'm okay with that in the aging process. And I like how he's spooked out by the fact that how good that the aging process
Right. Like, that's me? That's me?
is. Wow, I actually look good.
Right. He said before fainting.
But yeah, I'm okay with the aging as long as you get him a stunt double and stuff like that. Because I think that you definitely need a stunt double for the running, for the everything else. Because I cannot see Indiana Jones running away from something, and he's 80, in his 70s.
Right.
You know what I mean?
You better stick a deep fake and make that stunt double go into overdrive. Yeah.
Okay, Harrison Ford is 80 years old, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, poor guy's gonna need Jello and his blood pressure medicine by the time.
Be tired, like, oh, this might be my last movie.
He's gonna retire after this one.
Get Mark Hamill for the next.
God, or Chris Pratt, but
Right.
So, but I think that's everything I wanted to cover as far as that story goes.
Yeah. The aging.
Yep. So now comes our main topic.
The big finale.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino. He reminds me of Marcel Scorsese. Whenever they were talking, when you look at stories like this, it also reminds me of. Let's see here. What's the other actor too that was alongside Marcel Scorsese when they were talking about it? He directed the Godfather movie.
Oh.
Apocalypse Redux.
Oh man, I can't think of the name right now. Actor. That's
Francis Ford Coppola.
Okay, I didn't know if it was him or not. I know there was a couple of involved with those, but
Right. But now Tarantino, who hasn't come out with a movie since 2019.
Right. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, we sat with that one. That was a long movie.
And it was don't get me wrong. Here's the thing: I have a love-hate relationship with Quentin Tarantino. Like I like some of his movies, but there's some movies I don't like. I think that Pulp Fiction is overrated as a movie. I prefer Reservoir Dogs over that film.
That seems like a fair one. I have to check that one out.
Reservoir Dogs is fantastic. Then Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was really good. Django Unchained was good. But when it comes down to certain other movies and stuff like that, it's like a mixed bag of, either you like his style of doing things or you don't like his style.
Yeah.
But anyways, Quentin Tarantino is the latest profile Hollywood director to criticize Marvel movies. Tarantino is widely known for directing Reservoir Dogs, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, and Kill Bill franchise. What's that?
I thought I heard you say Once Upon a Time in Mexico. I was like, is that the Desperado sequel, Antonio Banderas?
I almost said it. I'll own up to it. I almost said that. But Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Pulp Fiction, and Kill Bill franchise. To name a few. However, the director recently shared his displeasure with the current state of the entertainment industry and the Marvelization of Hollywood movies. While on the Two Bears 1K podcast, what better place to actually say that you don't like Marvel is on a podcast. Tarantino discussed the far-reached influence of Marvel movies, stating that there's an aspect that if these movies were coming out when I was in my 20s, I would totally be effing happy and totally love them. I mean, they wouldn't be the only movies being made. They would be those movies, among other movies. But I'm almost 60, so yeah, no, I'm not quite as excited about that. Tarantino also discussed the death of the movie star culture, attributing the popularity of the MCU franchise characters as a contributing factor. The director stated, "Part of the Marvelization of Hollywood is you have all these actors who have become famous playing these characters, but they're not movie stars, right? Captain America is the star, or Thor is the star. I mean, not the first person to say that. I know. I think there's been said a zillion times, but But it's like, it's these franchise characters that become a star. The famed director is not only high profile to take issue with their prominence of superhero films at the box office. Like I said, Martin Scorsese, Francis Ford Coppola have also notably lent their voices. And boy, did they get their butts tore up into. Personally, I don't like the idea of the franchise, that notion that you can keep repeating what is essentially the same movie for financial gain. In other words, what is formalic approach. At the end of the day, this conversation is going to keep happening because people continue to ask these questions of directors with this constant evolution of the cinematic landscape. People, particularly creatives in the industries, are bound to have very opinions on works at what does not. However, given the percent success of the MCU superhero films in general, it is clear it's something goers want, else the genre would not have thrived at all. So then we also have Sam Liu, who went on ahead, and you actually brought this on up to me.
Yeah. I don't have a statement. Sorry, Shang-Chi.
Okay, I actually have it right here. Okay, so Quinton Tarantino has made it clear that Marvel movies are not his cup of tea, but actor Sam Liu has kindly reminded the director that the films and the studios behind them have provided an upper represented communities a chance to be seen, unlike ever before. If the only gates to movie stardom came from Tarantino and Scorsese, I would never have had the opportunity to lead a 400 million plus movie. Leo, the star of Marvel's Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, wrote on Twitter, "I am in awe of their filmmaking geniuses. They are transcendent chores. They don't get to point their nose at me or anyone." He continued, "No movie studio is or ever will be perfect, but I am proud to work with one that has made a sustained efforts to improve diversity on screen by creating heroes and empower the inspired people of all communities everywhere. I love the Golden Age too, but it was white as hell." Leo similarly made his comments on social media in response to a podcast interview Tarantino gave, in which he criticized, okay, we're not going to go into that because I just talked about it, so that was just to give a background of the context from the statement before. So here's the thing. I do agree with Leah. Of course, I wind up agreeing with Sam Leo statement because here's the thing. That studio is filled with diversity. You do have actors that are diverse. You have people that are getting along. You do have. Here's the thing. I don't feel like the character is bigger than the actor. I feel like the actor is bigger than the character. Because of the fact that RDJ, he was actually going nowhere whenever he got and everything, and no one wanted to take a chance on him. And here comes Jon Favreau offering the role of Iron Man. He fought for that role for RDJ, and Robert Downey Jr. got that role. And then he winds up becoming successful with it. He winds up doing Tropic Thunder. He winds up doing other properties. And then you also have Chris Hemsworth, who plays Thor. But even though he's been typecast as Thor, even though his other movies outside of Thor has not been landing, even though RDJ's roles outside of Iron Man has not been landing because of, let's see, you have The Judge that didn't do that well at the box office, and that was really good. Dr. Dolittle, who was going to...
We're not talking about that. Even
No,
the Eddie Murphy ones, the Eddie Murphy ones were box office success, but critics, yeah, it was like it's child's fair.
But when you look at Chris Hemsworth and stuff like that, his other successes wasn't that great. And then you also have Chris Evans, whose career has been going up and up. And so, you can't. Here's the thing: you can't compare one person's success to another person's success.
Mm-hmm.
All about, to me, the acting and the credibility of that actor and what he's signed on and being attached to. And here's the thing: the judge is rated R. No one's going to go see a rated R film with Robert Downey Jr. MCU film fans are not going to go see
Indeed.
The Judge, which is a rated R film. That was more geared towards us as grown adults who would want to go ahead and see that movie. That's how I'm viewing it. But when you look at these statements, what's your other initial thoughts? Because I know, here's the thing, Tarantino is also being hypocritical. Because Samuel L. Jackson played in his movies.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Exactly.
Come on. Pulp Fiction, The Hateful Eight. Come on.
Not only that, but here's the thing.
Man.
Sam Jackson played in Pulp Fiction before comic book movies were cool.
Right.
And not only that, but also Tarantino launched his career. So he cannot say that Marvel launched Samuel L. Jackson's career. At all. So I feel like Tarantino's in a way is being hypocritical. He's being grumpy. He's 60 years old. And even though I don't really care that much for this phase of the MCU movies as a whole right now, there's the only movie I like right now is Black Panther.
Which I've been actively avoiding spoilers for. This is probably the only movie I've been actively avoiding spoilers for.
I'm going to be honest with you. It's really good. It leans heavy on the passing of Chadwick. It's a tearjerker. I recommend it.
Yeah.
But, as far as like Doctor Strange goes, as far as any of the MCU movies, I didn't really care for that much. This one, to me, landed very well. So, you can't really, you cannot compare somebody else's success to other people. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way with you. The fact that he said it on a podcast, that was just led for failure. Like if I went to past, if I know my fellow filmmakers, listen to what Martin Scorsese and other filmmakers have said, that might have been anti-Marvel in the past, I'd probably want to say it in the podcast. I'd want to send that to the press. Not have a verbal or video piece of me saying, yeah, these Marvel actors, they're not for me. I'm 60 years old, blah, blah, blah. It's not 100% wrong with the diverse movie genre, dying per se, but it could have been worded a lot better. I mean, you
could have just said,
Marvel's very much having a diverse phase.
Well, not only that, but here's the thing. Tarantino could have said, look, Marvel movies are not for me.
Right.
But they have helped launch certain careers. The characters are not. Here's the thing: the characters are gonna be. People are gonna remember the actors playing them. They're not gonna be the actor is bigger than the character.
Right.
But I just feel like this should have been presented on Howard Stern's show or something. This would be something that he would say on Howard Stern's show, not on a podcast.
And Howard Stern would have been buttering up like, oh, really, Quinton? Tell us more. Write that down.
And I could just see Howard going, you know what? Go back for a minute. Let's talk about this. Like he's a psychiatrist.
Right, let's talk about this. Your emotions. I just think that,
But, I just, the Marvel movies are not hitting the way they were went with the other phases. This one's not hitting me that much. But you don't have a right to criticize somebody else's work, because you also have, what's his name, that was actually in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Not Paul Rudd.
Paul Rudd, yeah.
Not Paul Rudd.
Former sexiest man alive.
Hold on. I'm not talking about
not
him.
Paul Rudd.
I'm talking about one of the oldest actors that you can think of.
Oldest actors that I can think of. That's a toughie. Oh,
God.
Actors.
If I wasn't on the air right now, I could tell you who it is. Okay, Michael Douglas. You have Michael Douglas in an MCU film.
Right.
Which back in the day, in the 90s, he was actually a big known superstar.
Right.
Guess what? You would not have gotten him into a comic book movie.
Right.
And now here he is. Just like how Al Pacino, you would not see him doing a smaller screen role. Right. And there he was on the Amazon TV series that he was doing.
Right.
So, but I do believe this. Now, this is something that I do believe. The age of the big actor superstar that we once had back in the 90s is dead.
Yeah.
Big action stars like Jean-Claude Van Damme. Then you also had Sylvester Stallone. You had Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Get to the chopper. Yeah.
Get to the chopper. Yeah. But yeah, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger. You had all your action stars. And now you don't have those. The only ones that you can actually count on is The Rock and Jason Statham.
Right, with Tom Cruise basically still doing the same, jumping off of places. I'll see you at the movies.
I'll see you in space. Right. But yeah. That means that actually, you know what? I want to see Tom Cruise jump out of a helicopter. So I'll see you at the movies.
I want to see that in like a Fast and Furious movie, or maybe a cameo in an Avengers movie for us. I'll see you guys later.
But yeah, I just don't agree with, I somewhat agree, but also somewhat don't agree with Tarantino.
Yeah.
But I'm leaning, it's like I'm lukewarm with it, one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm like, a lot of the veteran actors definitely were names before Marvel. The ones that you mentioned.
So, I mean, I don't think he knew what he was talking about when he said it. Because when you're on a podcast, you don't have time to actually sit there and think about what you're going to say. You have to be quick on the spot to say something. Or you can just say, hey, look, I'm not going to touch that subject right now. Let's go over to the next question. Or you just basically send over the questions that the podcaster is going to ask and just go through each question. Hey, look, I'm not going to answer this one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I used to do. But I don't do the, I pretty much don't do the whole entire sending the questions in to somebody anymore because I want to be more authentic.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, but yeah, that's everything I had wanted to cover as far as the Quentin Tarantino speaks against Marvel movies and things like that. Tell us in the comments, though, after this podcast episode, tell us what you guys think. Do you think that Quentin Tarantino was actually being fair, or do you think that he has a point? Here's the thing. Everybody has their own points, their own ways of thinking and stuff like that, too. Mm-hmm. Because I'm set in my ways and the way I'm thinking or when Western is thinking does not mean that we're right or wrong or anything like that either. So comment below. Tell us what you think about this situation. Do you think Tarantino has a point? Tell us why you think he has a point. Because I like to know. Because I might be overanalyzing the situation. So tell me about that. Also, too, are you excited about the fact that there might be just one Batman? Are you excited about what James Gunn is doing with the DCEU? Are you excited about why Mickey Mouse might want to take over a stupid...
and get his own phone, Get the Mickey Mouse iPhone.
So I have a question, Western. Is it going to be called iMouse? Or iMickey?
It's possible. iMickey might work. iMouse might be for like the actual computer mouses.
Okay, I can see that.
Right. And the clickers are like, connected to the ears. Yeah, basically.
Right. All right. So I think that, anyways, guys, comment below. Don't forget to smash that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Always until next time, guys. It's been real. It's been fun. I can't wait to do this again. And thanks again, Western. I do appreciate you taking the time out of your night to talk about this little short segment.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And always until next time.